Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. For everybody, please make sure if you haven't done that, for whatever reason, maybe you're too busy, maybe you forget about it or so, please go to YouTube, let it run to the end. Even if you've seen the video, open it, let it run to the end, and then share, like it, and then share it somewhere. Now, we're all in social networks. I mean, unless you're, I don't know, you're 99 years old and something else and you don't know how to use this, you're not going to be in any social network. Everybody's in some social network, right? On YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Personally, I believe you should be on all of them. You don't have to give your real details and you don't have to, be active on it, but you should be in them because it's part of our life. It's part of what we do. And you can just click share to them because it's a single click. On YouTube, YouTube has them there for you. You just have to click share and that's it. Nothing else. It goes there. It doesn't matter if anybody watches it or not. That's irrelevant. Because somebody say, well, I don't share it because it's my personal and nobody watches it. It doesn't matter. You share a lot of things on your Facebook page, right? So share this as well. Nobody will watch it. That's okay. The search engine will see how much times the video is shared and will consider the video valuable. How much time the video is liked and will consider the video valuable. And that means it will make impressions. It will share it to more people. The impression rate has dropped. Our impression rate for the last week has dropped by 6%, I think, which means the search engine is not sharing it that much because it's not getting that much of an activity in the video itself. So if you guys can do that, that will really, really help. It will share it to more people and more people will see it. That's the whole point of doing it, so that more people can see it. And maybe some people will find it interesting. Yesterday, I got a message, and it's always amazing when after so long you get a message from somebody who just saw your video. You always see that awe in their voice. Although it's a message, I can imagine you because the way they write their message, you can see the enthusiasm, the happiness about finding this video finally. And most of the people who do that are people with years of experience. New people don't value my video that much because they don't understand it. If it's a new trader coming on and watch my video, they literally don't watch it very long because they don't understand what I'm saying. It's hard to figure out these patterns and these lines and all these names that I'm using, the running flats and all that. They don't have a clue what it is. For them, it's difficult. It's mostly traders with years of experience who are not successful finally find something that they understand and it's showing them exactly what to do. Especially the step-by-step ones I'm doing on the New Zealand yen and the New Zealand dollar. I'll keep following that. Like it's a non-stop. That would be a relay. So if you can support that in the community section, that would be great. Leave your comments there, and it doesn't have to be. You can make any very constructive comments. Just leave your comments, and that will help. So let's go. This one actually followed the candle, right? It's amazing. It just followed the candle down. That's the magic of wave analysis. So, the sad part is I closed mine. I was supposed to put the entry in and didn't do it. I was just telling the guys in the trading room just now. I was asleep and this happened. But the good thing is I got the New Zealand dollar. So it compensates. Okay, let's go. Let's start the webinar. These webinars will be on YouTube, by the way. So make sure even if you see it here, you open it in a browser when it's on YouTube and let it run to the end and share it, right? Don't ignore it because you watch it. Dollar index. It seems the consolidation is bringing us, right? This consolidation is going to get us out of here. Because if they consolidate in the top half of this impulse, we're likely going to make an up move, right? And that means if we make that up move, we will likely break this top. And that could be the start of the big move to the upside. We might end up with a contracting flat on the daily. This is very sharp. They're consolidating at the top here. If they take off, if this thing takes off, we could end up going all the way back to the top on the daily without breaking the low. This might be a contracting flat. Because this is pretty huge. If you look at all the corrections we've had in the previous impulses and you can measure them to see, I think the biggest one we had was this one. That went about 4,290 pips. Is that correct? 429? I think it's 429. The zero didn't come to the end there. So it's about 429 pips. And this one is about 306. So it can go a little more still and still come down, right? So we have to be aware that this could still go one more here and still come back here because we had this, see, and still go down. So we will be aware of that there's a possible up move here, and we might still come back, break the low before we go. If they keep going, good for us. We're looking for a buy today, which means we're in sell in most of the majors. So let's go. Gold, put it back on the 1 hour. And it hasn't broken the top as yet, but I still think we might get there and break that top, but the pattern would be slightly different now. I'll take this off. Because of the amount of consolidation we're getting in here, if this go break the top, this becomes more of a corrective one like this, not an impulsive move as such. So this might be 1, 2, 3. We might get this down. That would make one in here. We get another one up. We get another one down, and we get another one up. This would complete this pattern for this one. And at this point, they will tell us whether they're going down or whether we'll take off. And there's a good chance that if it starts doing this, we might end up higher rather than lower. So we'll watch it. Right now, it's not going any. Remember, I told you the gold structure and the silver structures are different structures. Silver is going to fall. Gold should break this top. Well, it didn't break the top. It's consolidating. I still think we might get this up move. Let's keep an eye on it today. We might get it today. But it's not the same pattern anymore. The pattern will change. We'll see how that goes. If they consolidate here quite a lot, it will be a nice buy because that buy could be a very sharp impulse out of it. Silver on the other hand, fell. We broke out of this structure, which is good. We broke through. We make a consolidation here. I think we're going to break through again. So take this out. And look at it on the 15. I want to show you the internals of it, right? So we kind of made this sharp move, and then we go up. They make a sharp move here. There's a high probability that this could be a flat inside of it, right? This might go back up to the top and then drop. This bigger hole, this whole bigger structure could be a big flat there for downside. It is for downside, not upside. We're still looking for more downside on this. So there is a good chance that silver drops and gold stays where it is today. Silver needs to come and break this low, and probably a little lower than that would work. If silver just needs to drop one more like this and then up, right? So there is a down move here before it goes up. It is likely going to go up, and the only way this could probably go up is silver price raises by itself, or if the dollar index, right, starts to keep going down more. So if the dollar index goes up a little more, as we say, to about 400 pips and then start to drop, we're going to get this up move, which means the dollar index will retest the low. And the reason I think that is very likely this is going to go up is because we broke the top. We know that when they break that top and they come here, 90% of the time they retest the top before they drop. This makes a running flat. We know that. That's how we got the New Zealand trade yesterday. Right? That is how I got in the New Zealand trade, because of a running flat pattern that we know. It repeats itself very often and very predictable. At least 95% of the time, it's predictable. Right? So if this is doing the same thing, we should see this drop some more today, maybe by the end of this week, and then we can start that move. So look for sell setups here. You can ignore the consolidation in here and just put a sell under the low, especially now that it's going back up. If it is going back up to break the top and then drop, that's a good one. We look for a sell somewhere higher here. If not, if they continue to drop from here and this is all the consolidation, then you definitely want this trade. And you definitely want that trade, because this could drop really fast. Euro. So the choice was either euro is going to come back up here, make a flat here and drop, or go back up higher. They're making a flat here. We're retesting the top. We will go with this pattern. This one will be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We discussed that possibility of the contracting flats in the middle and the expanding flat in this one. And we discussed that possibility. And we said, okay, let's see if it's going to happen. Well, it looks like it's happening. You've got this flat and you're getting a flat here. That's a buy setup. At least to break this top. And then this becomes a big flat for downside. Now, is it going to go now? Especially if dollar index is going to go up? I don't think so. I think we can watch this come back here. The only time we get a sell into this is if it comes back to this low. That's the only time we'd consider that this is a deep pullback for a sell. Right now, it's unpredictable because there's at least more than one version of a pattern that we know that exists in there. So let's wait and see. If we do get the buy, if it starts to break out, you take the buy. Which means if this here starts breaking out, the buy is very valuable, especially if the dollar index decides to go down some more before they go up. So that buy could be very valid. Pound still hasn't broken the low, so I think we will see this drop and break the low. I don't think I want to sell. Simple reason because of this flat. We looked at this flat in the trading room yesterday. I showed you it on the euro yen. This 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and this could come and just break the low and then go back up there. It doesn't necessarily have to be that one because remember we still have this, and if we want to go with this as the correction, then this sell becomes a good one. But if you take this sell, you'd have to be careful that it could still be this one and they could go back. So if you're going to take this sell setup here, you'd have to make sure that once it drops one single drop, put it to break even. Because if we're going with this flat, if this flat is the flat that we're going with, then this could drop straight through the pattern and all the way to the bottom, right? Because there's a bigger one here. Remember, I showed you that. You can go back and watch all the webinars, that we will eventually get this when this was going up. We'll eventually get that. And if we're wrong about this one, I don't know if I should show that here, but okay. Since I'm on it, I'll just show you guys. If we are wrong about that, then this one is it. Right, which means this, you could either take the whole piece or you could take a partial because this one was the whole piece, was that running flat there. That's one running flat. So you had 1 2 3. We could go with 1 2 3. A very slow climb. We call that the squeeze. And if that is the case, we're coming back to retest this low for a 1 2 3 structure. So if we're right about it, it's just going to come here and go back up for a new high. Then we will see whether they drop or whether they continue to go. And that would be this road, this flat, that flat we're looking at. The reason we're keeping both of those options is because of the slowness of this. This could either be a C wave that went up as a squeeze or that's a corrective structure as it stands. So one out of the two, both of them are downside now. So if you're going to take this trade right now for the downside, it doesn't mean this is the one that goes. You have to understand the fractal nature of the market. And it doesn't mean that because we're expecting a drop that this one is going to drop. This one could drop here, go back up there, and then the big drop comes. See? So if you take this, you would want to get break even if they go back up. You'd have to manage yourself at a break even. There is a flag to sell. There's a sell setup here. Just be aware that you know the idea of the edge in wave analysis is understanding all the possible patterns you have so that you can manage your trade that way. If you don't understand them, you don't know what to do. And that's what we do here. We teach you to read the charts and say, well, okay, it can do this and then go back up to the top and then drop, or it could drop. So you take the trade and you manage it once it does this. Once you get that drop, you start putting it to break even and see what happens. So keep an eye on that one. Aussie, running flat. Told you the two options. If it's a running flat, you put your entry here, you're in the trade, right? You got 1 2 3 downside. If they make a correction here, then we buy. Very simple. That's the power of wave analysis. You should be in this sell if you sell it. Now, we had a choice in the trading room yesterday. Take the Aussie or take the New Zealand, and I chose the New Zealand, which is once in a while I get it correct, which one to choose. I normally choose the wrong one, the one that doesn't go so often. So this one I'm in, and it's going good. Same running flat, same pattern, working very good. So if you're in this trade, you may want to stay with it for a while. You may want to move your stops and stay with it for a while because the possibilities are huge. Let me go to the daily and show you that. I showed the guys in the trading room before we started the webinar. We have divergence here, and that's very significant. It means two things. A bigger correction. This is one impulse. We know that. Now that we have broken out of the structure, that's one impulse. So this one starting here would either be a big correction or a total retest of the low. Can it retest the low? Let's say you have those two options. You're saying, well, how would I know which one? You go one up. My traders would know what to do. You go up and you say, is there a pattern whereby they can go back and retest the low? And I think, yeah, we can see that there is a pattern that says, you might go back and retest the low. If we look at that as an expanding, well, most likely a running flat. We didn't break the top, right? If you see that running flat, great. If you don't, then you need the long wave analysis. That is one option. The second option is, well, if that is not a running flat and that's a correction of its own in the middle there and we're going to go up, then this becomes a very deep correction. How deep can this correction go? Let's look at this correction. You see that impulse down there? This was the correction up. That correction is about 4 pips beyond the top. See how deep corrections can go? Do I know how deep this first impulse is going to go before you start to get this? We don't know. So there is possible very much down trades in this thing. Keep your eyes on it. Let's see. All right. Go back to and even if the dollar index is going to make a low, a new low, it doesn't mean we'll break that up. We might go up, but we might go up as a corrective structure, which means if dollar index makes one more move up today and this drops like this, well, not that big. Let me go back to a place where it wouldn't be that big, right? If this makes one more drop like this here today, and dollar index goes up, and dollar index start to drop, we might see this thing doing that. It doesn't necessarily will come back and break that up. It will go up, but it might go up more like as a corrective structure, or even sharp moves, pull back, sharp moves, some form of correction before they drop again. So even if dollar index will retest the low and then go back up, as it starts to go back up, we're going to have these big moves down. But the up move in this doesn't necessarily have to break that up. We know that. So go back to the 1 hour. Every flag you get is a sell setup. Very simple. Every flag we get from here now will be a sell setup until we see a bigger correction forming. Because this will make a number of flags as they go down. Remember, this one had a few flags. You had one here. You had one here. This one was a good one we sold. You had another one here. That one would be a break even when it pulled back. I don't know how much we're going to get in this going down. We haven't got any so far. If you enter here, great. That's all you have. CAD, I just got tagged in the CAD. I'm not liking it so much because it's not as sharp as we want it to go, but I'll just keep it and wait to see. If they start to consolidate, we know what to do. If they go, we know what to do. If they pull back and then go back, we know what to do. Those are 3 options of what can happen. The worst case happen, you have a stop. That's like the worst case. Let's take this off. That was the first trade we got in the CAD. Okay, the reason I'm keeping it is because I think they might go to the top here. They would either go slow or fast. I don't know. They could either just move fast or they could, go very slow. And whichever happens, we'll make a decision when it gets to the stop. Somewhere in here, when it gets there, we'll make a decision whether we think it's going to go down or whether we think we're going to break out. Whether we're going to close the trade or whether we're going to keep the trade. Swiss, magic happens. It came down as expected, and I think there's a little more down to it. We're making a flag here. We haven't broken this low. We don't need to break that low. We need to break this low, and we broke that low, right? But we might break this low. I think we're going to get a consolidation like this here. Maybe a little bigger, and then we're going to drop like this, and then upside. This is definitely upside. So we might just get this more here today. That's a trade. Hopefully it does that. And then we will go up. See? So I showed you the patterns that we think. This was one of them that we think has the thing to come back here and then go, right? Okay, let's see. I'm not sure if we are going to get this trade. Let's hope we get it. It's a nice trade, and then we'll start to look for the upside. We might take it. We don't know how deep it's going to go. You never know. You might get lucky. You might get unlucky and you get a break even out of it, but that's okay. Worst case is you're going to get a break even. Start to look for the buy after the one drop. This is going to drop. We can take it. It might be an expanding flat. Also, you can go with this, right? What if it's an expanding flat? Who knows? We can go with a sell there. But once it gets into this area to that low, expanding or contract or running, sorry, we will go. Now, I don't like the way this is coming down in terms of an impulse. I don't like that. And if that is not doing what we think it is, which is it's not an impulsive move down. It could be like a squeeze, but if it's not that, then we will get an impulse up like this. But we will come back down again before we go. Right? If it is the impulse, then they're just going to go. So the reason I don't think so, there's too much consolidation in it. I don't like the fact that they have so much. You have sharp moves, but consolidation, sharp move, sharp move, consolidation. This is a big consolidation. It's too much. It means it's becoming the corrective structure in the whole pattern. So we'll see. And if we take it as a corrective structure in the whole pattern, we might as well start it from that top, right? Doing it like this. So if this comes down here and, come here, then the chances are we will get back there to the top like this one. Get back there somewhere to the top here and then come back here before we go. It will still be a big running flat. So we'll see. I'm not sure if we want that trade. I think we could ignore it, but we'd look for the buy. The Swiss might be a better sell than the yen. Well, again, if I have to make the choice between two, I'll go with the Swiss, and I could be wrong. Aussie yen. Nice sell, but this would give you a break-even trade before it drops. So you'd have to have an entry order here to sell. The first entry order is a break-even. The second entry order would be your sell. We know where it's going. And because it's coming here and it's a running flat, we know we're going to go back up. So this might be a yen move up, not an Aussie move. That is why we definitely want to buy on the yen, because this move up would happen because of the yen, not the Aussie. Aussie is going down. This is definitely going to be a yen trade going up. All the yen pairs have a similar structure for upside. And if all of them have the similar structure, then it is likely the yen that will create that move. Right? New Zealand yen. Same structure. By the way, I hope all of you guys got the New Zealand trade. I made the mistake of closing it to resell it. I posted, I'll close it and I'll resell it here. Well, that happened in the night and I didn't put the entry. The entry order should have gone there. I didn't put it. Right? I put it in New Zealand and I forget to put it in this one, which is what I should have done. What I was thinking at that time was that I would sell it to the top here. Close it here and then sell it to the top here. It was the same trade, except I would have booked this profit already. And this would have been my trade. Didn't do that either. And that's part of, trading. You got caught up in everything I do. Get in the trading room, and after the trading room, I go play with my son, and I forget about that one. So, but I should have put this entry order here. That is, just in case. Put it under this last impulse, just in case, which I didn't do, and it dropped exactly to where we wanted. So now you've got to be careful, because now you're finishing off that flat. You don't have to close it. Just move your stops, right? It's coming here, and once this flat is completed itself, we could expect a move up. Again, this would be mostly a yen trade, not a New Zealand trade. New Zealand might correct up as a flag or something, but a big sharp move up like that would depend on the yen to go. And I think we're going to get it. Very likely we're going to get that, because that is very likely a flat pattern. This move came way up to the top there. So it is very likely a flat pattern. CAD yen. This is the only one that doesn't have that pattern. But we have this move here. We have this one here. So I'm not sure whether we can put those two as a running flat, because this is very sharp. It's not, it's not kind of a slow move that we can assume that is it. It would be rare type of running flats. But this by itself could be a correction, just like this by itself could be a correction. And we can see more upside. So it doesn't have the same pattern. This is the only one that doesn't have the same pattern. So if you're selling, and you should be in that sell, we spoke about this yesterday, the sell should come under this one or under the whole structure. It's the same thing if you put it there. That's your sell setup. If they've gone up back, if this has gone up back, you wouldn't be in the trade. But if it drops from that level, you're in the trade. Right? It's very simple. This is the running flat. This is the big running flat. This is just a small correction within the down move, which is good, because that correction helps you to have a better entry point by putting it here and a stop just above this one. So good trade. It's still going. If you're not in the trade, wait for flags. If you're not in this trade, you have to wait for flags before you can sell. I'll be careful of selling any yen pair now. Most of the yen pairs, is selling them is over. The yen itself has one more drop, so you might get one more drop. That's about it. And if you don't have a flag, don't try to sell it. Wait for a flag. If you get anyone with a flag and you have that one more drop, perfect, take it. If not, don't try to sell them now. It's too late. Right? This is the only one that went up. And that is because of the Swiss coming down very, very sharp. Now, if the Swiss goes up as we expect, this one becomes interesting. This is the only one that doesn't have a big upside in it. And that's mostly because of the Swiss, not the yen. Right? Because this whole thing here could be one big correction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And it could come back here. if they're going to go up, we'll at least get a drop here. And this drop could only be if the Swiss takes off to the upside really fast. So this would be the Swiss movement, not so much the yen. Even if the Swiss and the yen goes up together, I think it's the Swiss that will be dominating. I am not sure we'll get it all the way to this level because we were taking this one. We're taking this one here, sorry. The length of this one we're taking to get that. I'm not sure we'll get that because this pullback is very, very deep. So we might just get it to break this low. When it comes in, might just break that low and then start going back up. It will still be a running flat. It just wouldn't be the one we're looking for. And then upside. So this might happen today. Remember, all of them dropped already. This is the only one that didn't drop. So watch the if the yen drop a little, it could help. But if the yen drop and the Swiss starts to go up, this big move could happen. So keep your eyes on this for sell setups. All right, even if it goes a little higher and break that up, which is not necessary. It doesn't have to break that up. They can drop from this point. So if we get a flag, we can go with it. If we get any flag set up in here that is a good one, we'll take the sell. Aussie-Swiss, very nice trade. If you're in the trade, you have to be careful at this level. Some of our traders are in it in the room this morning. We learned that some traders are in this trade. So if you're in that trade, watch this level here because my assumption is that we are making this one now. I could be wrong. It could be this here, right? I just don't like this piece to match it. So I'll go with the more obvious one, which would be this one. And from somewhere here, even if we make an expanding flat, we should start an up move like this, which would be this move up. And then we should come back down to the bottom, which would be this move here. After which we continue with the trend. This is a big daily consolidation in the Aussie pair. All the Aussie pairs are in some kind of a daily consolidation. So if you're in that trade, you start being very careful at this point. Aussie CAD, yeah, this one is in some big weird consolidation too, right? I don't think we're looking for this to be. This is a flat of its own. This has just started, so I think we will probably. This is the first move down. I think this is going to go back up. Maybe some kind of a flat here. Maybe drop a little. You probably get some consolidation here before you go. Some weird consolidation. Maybe just leave it alone, especially since it's at the low. If we get a sell setup, I would not be selling this here. Bad idea. But buying it might work. Might be a good deal if you get an up move. Right? If this starts to go up, the buy might be a good one, especially if you get a flag here to buy, because they'll probably do this for a while. Aussie, New Zealand, the up move happened as expected. Remember I said yesterday, this one is going to be 1, 2, 3, then they go up. You get this. I thought it would come a little more here and then go, well, it doesn't matter. Now you're going to get this one. If they started downside, you'll do this, but it's a running flag. Let's see if we get a flag. If we get a downside and a flag, that would be a good one. So you want it to come down here. You want it to make a flag and then go for the trade. Let's see if we get it in the 1 hour. No, you don't have anything as yet. Wait for a flag. If we get the flag, we'll go for the trade. So I'll take this out now. I'll flip it, put it like this. Wait for the flag. This is the one we are going. We can assume that they're going to be equal in size. They don't have to be. But as a gauge, we can put it like this, just to gauge. Say, assuming they'll be equal, we'll get a big running flat here. And then we're going to get this one up. So, but this could be a trade here, especially if we get a nice flag there today. That could be a good trade. That could happen if New Zealand starts to correct and Aussie keeps dropping. This trade could happen today. Let's see if we get it. Euro CAD. Going good. So if you put the entry order, you got it. Yesterday we discussed this. Put your entry order because we don't know what this is as yet. If this is all the correction, then this one would just be a flag to go. And this thing makes weird patterns like that. Remember this one? Right, and they drop all the way to the bottom, then they pull back and they do this. So it's not quite clear whether that's a contracting flat. I think it is. Now we can easily say that it's probably the contracting flat. So it's going slowly, but it has big ways, very far to go. So even if you took this flag, and the buy of this flag here, that's not a bad one. We have quite a way to go. And on the daily, you will see it like a very sharp move, whereas it will go. This is how it moves. See? Very, very slow. So you just have to stay with it if you're in the trade. Put it to break even eventually when it moves away and stay with it. It's going good, and you might get surprised. Sudden sharp move will take off. So let's see if we get trades in it. Euro CAD, Euro New Zealand. Sorry, Euro New Zealand. Yes, Euro New Zealand. I don't know how many of you put the entry order there, but in our trading room, somebody asked me and I said, okay, put your entry order. We were expecting that this might make more lows like this. And I said, but put the entry order. What will go wrong? Nothing. They'll tag you, come back here and then go. That's about it if they do that, right? If you're going to make a running flat in here, they'll tag you, come back here and then go. But then you got that. So if you put an entry order there, you really did well. So now we're going to watch it. See, they follow this one out up. Now, two things. Is it this one or are we going to get to the bigger one? Let me show you the two structures. The reason we go with the smaller version is because this move up was really sharp. You only had this small correction in here, right? And a small correction. You didn't have a big correction. This one had a big correction. And when you get such big correction, we assume that they will just come to this level, make a flat, and go back down. But the way it's going, it looks like we might get there and then go down. And if we're wrong about it, we just keep going, right? Remember what we mean by being wrong. Let me show you the daily. This is the daily structure, the weekly structure we're looking at. That big move up. Now, this piece might confuse the heck out of some of you. Let me see if I can make it bigger to sort of good. So we have an impulse up. You have 1, 2, 3, another running flat. And by the way, if you don't know it, or if I never told you, running flats are the most common flats you can find. And if you hear that anywhere, you heard it from me, because that is a fact, right? So just in case, a reminder, I might have told you about 1,000 times, but I'll just remind you again so you will start looking for running flats in your charts, because they're the most common ones you can find, if you can identify them correctly. So we identify this as a running flat. Now we're assuming that it will go lower because we're looking at this sharp one and we're saying that we might get a sharp one here, make another running flat there, drop this level and then go back up. And the reason we choose that level, I think that would be the equivalent of this one in size. They don't have to be equal again. Let me remind you, it doesn't have to. So we could be going up from this point all the way back to the top there. Let's go down here now. And I still think we don't have anything for this one. I don't see anything we can put that with, not in any time frame. So there's still a chance that we're going to make this up and then go back down. So let's go to the 1 hour and look for more trades then. If it is going to go that high, then at some point here, you get another flag, right? It's not going to go nonstop. You probably get a flag, we buy. We get a flag, we buy. We get a flag, we buy. Every time it makes a flag, you buy. Because if they keep going higher, they'll go to about this level and then come down. If you got that trade, congratulations. Let's go. Euro yen. Okay, this one is pulling back. I'm still in the trade and I'm at break even. It's pulling back really deep. I thought that would be it. Actually, I thought this would be a very small one here like this, and they would go. Well, let's see if it goes. It's either I get break even or they go, because I'm not taking out the trade there for any reason, and I'm expecting them to break the top. If they take me out for break even and decide to go, I'll get right back in the trade. We'll look for a buy setup somewhere here and get right back into that trade. If it goes from here, good. If it's not, then you can put an entry order here, actually. That's a good buy setup, because the next move is breaking the top. By the way, here is another running flat, just in case you're wondering. And remember, I said when we get this, and we did this, we are going to get this. This wasn't the one, no problem. They eventually give you. And now you get this straight up, and then we'll see if this goes. Right, that trade should go. Now, if it doesn't go, it comes deeper again. Like I said, we will look for another buy setup again to the upside. Let's go. Euro Swiss. Yep, it's coming down. It hasn't reached the lowest yet, so there's still a chance we can go lower. Then, if they go down, they'll have to break this low. So at least one drop here and then upside. Keep your eyes on this one. This one is, remember, Euro New Zealand is gone. Euro Yen is going. Euro Aus probably will come to that is going, but keep your eyes. Euro CAD is going. This one will go. Keep your eyes on this thing. I don't know how low they're going to go. We were looking for this move down from this level here, from that flag. Take this out. That was a buy to the upside. We would look for another buy to the upside again. Take this out. That's the top. We'll look for a buy. I wanted to first break this low. Let it come here, and then we'll start looking for the buy to the upside like we got this trade, right? And if that doesn't happen, and they go up from here, on the break of this structure here, we'll start to look for buys in here going up. So let's assume this is a deeper pullback. That's for the argument's sake. Let's say this is just a deeper pullback, and we're going to go up from here, right? We're not going to break the low. This is your correction, and we're going to go, well, we will wait for them to come at least to the top here. If we get a flag anywhere here, that's a buy setup. Or put your entry order where this is, in case they do what the Euro New Zealand did, right? If they did what the Euro, you're in the trade, but you don't have to live with this one. You can actually just wait to get the trade higher. I have a very strong feeling we'll break this low and then go. So let's see if we break the low, and then we'll go for the trade. Euros, another one took off like a rocket. So your entry order on this should be, there was a flag here. There was a very perfect buy setup. This is in the Asian session. You guys should have got that trade. Going straight out, and we'll probably break this top. After which I think we might go down because this is a flat looking pattern. So we will break the top. You might still get a trade or two to the upside. It's going faster than the arrow, actually. So if we make a correction here, we'll make a correction here, we'll continue to go. Euro pound. Okay, we discussed this yesterday, and we were deciding whether we should buy it or not, and I didn't like the idea because this was not going very impulsively, whether this low or this low. So I think there's a good chance we will see the new low and then go, right? They will probably make a new low here for a flat like this. And I think this is a 1, 2, 3, and then go. But if I'm wrong about that, here is where you get interested for the buy, right? If this comes here, make a flat and decide to go back up, we put an entry order there. Because if they break that, they'll break through the last impulse down, and that is a buy setup, right? So what we would do is, if this comes here, it's coming down now. You actually want it to go down. It's not a sell setup as yet. We want this to go down here, and then put the entry order for the buy there. I'm not interested in that. If it's going to drop, let it drop. But if they turn and take off, we better be in that trade, right? So what are the chances euro go up and pound go down, and you get this trade, right? What are the chances that happens? Well, let's go look at the euro and the pound. Do we have a buy setup on the euro? I think we do. Do we have a sell setup on the pound? I think we do. So rather than trade the pound to the downside, go to the euro pound, let it go down back. Let's go to the euro pound. Wait for this to pull back here. Don't put it now. It will tag you in a running flat pattern, or it will tag you and drag you all the way to the bottom. Make sure this goes back down first, and then put your entry order there. Like this, right? See this one? Make sure it goes back down first, and then you put your entry order there. Keep your stop under this low. And if they go back up, that's the trade you want. If they keep dropping, well, let it drop. Not your business. Not your business, not my business. Let it drop. You're wrong, that's all, but you're not in the trade. That's the main thing. Remember, you're not trading to be right. You're trading to get an edge in the market. And if you see that there is an edge in the market you can take advantage of, you go for it. Well, if you're wrong, hey, you didn't get the edge, no big deal, right? This trading is not about you being right. It's about you making money, right? So that's the edge in making money. Most times you're right, though, just to put that little on it, right? Pangos. This is where your entry should be. We discussed this in the trading room yesterday, and we were thinking, would it break the low, or is this a flat? I think that was a concrete question somebody asked me. Can we look at that as a flat and it doesn't break the low? And I was, yeah, sure, put your entry order there. I don't know who asked the question, if the person's in the room now. But that's exactly, the question is very simple. Can we look at it as a flat to go up? Well, yeah, if you think it's a flat, put your entry order there, they will take off, right? They're taking off. That's your trade. How far would it go? Well, you're expecting them to come and break this top for the that's the minimum. Break that top. And after that, we'll see what happens. So if we get a flag here, we can still join the trade. Right? This impulse didn't go like aggressive, right? This one is making a correction here, so I don't think it's going to go aggressively like that. I think they'll make a flag go, and then we'll see what happens when it gets it up. The bigger pattern here is downside. Right? This bigger pattern is downside. It could still go all the way to this one and then come down back. Right? See that? It could still go there. When it breaks this top, then we'll see how far they go before they come back down. But that's a trade. You can go for the trade. And there might be more trade setups today in the 1 hour, especially if we get flags. Pound CAD. So pound CAD, I closed my sell because I told the guys in the trading room, it's making a flag. When this went up, I was still in. But I said, let me see if they start to consolidate here. And when they consolidate, I close the trade. Because when they consolidate like this here, the chances are that we might retest this stop and then get the downside. So what did we look at yesterday for? And I was hoping that that would not happen to me. Yesterday, we were looking at all the impulses, and what we noticed is that each one of them has a very big correction in it. Right? We looked at that yesterday, and this one has a deep correction here. This one has a very big correction here. See? So what we said is that when this one had a very big correction back there, and this one didn't have that big correction. So we were hoping that it would go without that correction. Well, it looks like we might still get a very big correction here. Something like this, most likely. And that is why I decided I'll watch it here. And we might be making that big correction now. So there's very likely a buy setup forming here. This piece should come down a little here, and then there's a buy forming here. It's a short-term trade because they'll most likely only get to about that top, after which we're looking for sells again. All right, so all you get is a bigger correction in there. It might even get more complex because this is a bit sharp. So, and this one would look like it's going to be a bit sharp, and then they might come back here. You could even stay here for a while, but we can trade within that zone from the top to the bottom and from the bottom up if we see a buy setup, right? And then they're going to break down. So we might just get a bigger consolidation in there before we finish this move, but it will finish that move. There's no question about that. Question is, do you get a big one like this? See? Which is, are we going to do something like this here? Go up there, come back here, go up there, come back, and then do this? Possible. So now what do? We're trading this zone until we get this trade again. So yesterday we saw that in the trading room, and we were like, okay, is it going to do it? Like, okay, well, if it does it, I'll close my trade. And I think we're going to do that. So what I want to see is I want to see this come back here a little lower than this, and we'll look for a buy today to the top there. Let's see if we get that trade. Pound New Zealand. Pretty easy, right? We spoke about this yesterday, and I told you they will break that top. Now, this might not be a buy setup. I didn't look for this as a buy, and I was not looking for a buy because the bigger structure is downside. This thing is a big structure that could go down quite a lot. So if we look at the bigger picture, this is what we have. This is the bigger picture, right? And this is a corrective structure. Now, this will come and break that low. The only question is, when is it going to come and break the low? Now? Or can we make a new high here? Can this thing go back there, make a new high, and then come and break the low? It's possible, but not necessarily going to do it. Because we're looking at this correction, and it looks very much like they're ready to go down. We have divergence in it. We have everything structurally set. This is a very sharp move down. We're breaking the structures. We're consolidating under. Everything tells us they're going to continue to go down from this point. We're not going to go back up, right? This, I think we consider this the big running flat in there. We've got a drop here. And this is, I think we're looking at this as another big correction for downside. If I'm wrong about it, then this would be just a running flat for the continuation to move to the top here. Possible. It's rare, but it's possible. Rare in that you break the structure and then do that. It's, you know, we have a nice flat in here already. End the move like that and then reverse it like this. That makes sense. So I still think this one would go down. But here's what we're going to do. There, you had a buy set up in that one. You should take the buy. If you took it, if not, then what we do is we wait to see what happens now. What happens at the top there? We do have divergence. At least for now, we have divergence. And let's see if they reversed it. If they consolidate above this level, any consolidation here, we'll buy. Because we'd assume now that they're going to continue this impulse all the way to the top. If we get a reversal, which means if at some point we see a reversal in the flag, we're selling this for the big move to the downside. Which one is going to be dependent on what the pound is going to do? Because New Zealand is already going down. So if the pound starts to drop, it will pull all the pound trades down, including the pound CAD, pound New Zealand, and everything. So let's see. We'll just wait and see. Pound yen. One more down, but also not a big sell. I'll be careful with it because we have another running flat here. 1, 2, 3, and then go. Seems to be a very common thing, right? The running flats. So let's get it. One more drop there and then upside. I don't think you want to go for that drop. maybe you can try the. I'll probably, if I have to sell one of them, I'll sell either I think it was the CAD yen or the dollar yen, but not this one. Swiss yen. Sorry, the Swiss yen is the one I'll sell if I have to sell a yen pair now. I would not sell this. This has the very last piece to finish this thing, and then total upside. It could be even that it's finished there, right? We broke the low. Yeah, this could be the end of it even, and we're going up. So if we get any flag here, we buy. If we get a buy setup, we'll buy because we broke the low. And once they broke, did we break the low? By the way, let me just check. We tagged it at least. Yeah, I think we tagged it. That's more in there. But they will drop some more. I think they will drop some more and then go. Don't chase it. Let it drop and then we'll go for the buy. Let it come a little more and then we start looking for the buy setup. So all the yen pairs except for one has this setup, right? All of them. Euro yen is already going up, but all the other yen pairs has this very setup to go up, right? Except the Swiss yen. The Swiss yen has it, but it has to finish that down move first before it becomes an upside. I don't think it's going to go up from where it is. Franc Swiss. This was where we had it before we make that big correction there. If you wanted to trade this down, you would have had to move it to this level, take break even, and then put it here. Right? That would have been the sell. You wouldn't have kept it here. We kept it here before all of this happened, right? But you would have put it first. Your first one would have been here. That would have been a break even trade, and then you would go with this if you wanted to sell it. But it was a sell setup, and that is how you should treat it. Right? So we take this out. This one is like all the Swiss pairs. This is going to probably go up more, but it's just making some weird correction here. Wait for a while. We look at all the Swiss pairs yesterday, and we saw that. By the way, you might get a buy setup here. And I think it's worth taking it. Even if it's just a flag for downside, we'll get break even. But if they're going back to the top, right? If they're going back to the top, that's a good buy. And I can see the possibility of them going back to the top. Let's pay attention to this one, guys. I like this from the bottom here. If it's a break even, it's a break even trade, right? If it's just a small flag, if they're making a flat here, they'll probably just do this and go down back. We'll take the break even. The end shorter should be here. The stop should be here. We'll take the break even. But if it's going back to the top here, we want the trade. What are the chances of dollar Swiss going up? Very high, right? So let's keep an eye on this one. New Zealand CAD. This is a good one. We tried to sell this from here, right? Remember, we tried to sell this one from this point coming down. And then it did all of this, and now it's dropped. Well, part of it. Let's see how we can put all of this together. This is still the flat. All of this is in the down move. See, that is the top. So all of this is just in the down move. This is a running flat. You got a move down, a running flat, and a move down. This just has its own correction in there. And a move down. What's next? So if this is the most corrective part down, if we look at the structure, this piece here down is the most corrective part of it. So at some point we will get this and we'll get that, right? So at some point this, be careful, I don't know how low it's going to go, but at some point it will start to do this back up to give you this running flat. And then you're going to get this down before you go back up. Right, so this is just making a big consolidation in the middle here. Let's go. Yep, you can probably see an option of, you can see a version of that consolidation here. This was more classical, right? That one was more classical. This one is not so classical. This is more of a 1, 2, 3, come back here and then go, something like this. And maybe like this, most likely, with all the corrections in here. See this like that one. It's just a different version of the same thing. So we will get something like this, and then we just continue to go. Look for the upside very soon. You can still stay with the downside. We don't know how low this is going to go before we go back up, but I think we're going back up. Especially in this piece here, no divergence, right? See this? This was the bigger one, and then you get this one, you get this, and no divergence. So we'll likely get one more up. Very likely. It will be a big range of trading, so you can trade up and down. And then we'll see. So we can start, let this finish what it's doing, and then we look for the upside. New Zealand CAD. Nice drop. That might be a single drop before they go back up. This is strange because this one is, we saw this, I don't think you should trade this. You probably trade New Zealand dollar. This could come quite a lot more before they go, right? It will still be a running flat. We just assumed it's going to stop there because they will be equal size. So I'll take this out and still keep an eye out for a running flat pattern. If you get another flag, you want to sell it, maybe sell something else, right? Not necessarily this one. CAD Swiss, downside, you should be selling this. This has a lot of potential to the downside, right? It actually dropped really nice, and we're getting another flag here, which means we can sell again. Right? If we get a flag here, we sell again, because this thing has potential to go down quite a lot. Right? See, it could come back this much. It could come back this much before you go. This would be a running flat. So there, that would be a good sell. If we get another flag here, we'll sell today. This one moved that much, wait for another flag and sell. So that is for the Forex. I think we should either continue. Let me just continue it so we don't stop it. We'll just go through straight, right? This is copper. Copper is not breaking the top as yet, but you want it to break the top, and then let it break the top. Give us 1, 2, 3, and then the downside. Probably we'll just stay away from for now. Stay away from it. Correction. This is good. We're making a nice corrective structure. We'll probably go up some more, but then look for the sell setup. If you're buying, it's very short term. Look for the sell setup. This could be big, the first big impulse to the downside, or this thing is going to be a big correction here before they go. We looked at the daily. We have divergence in the daily. There's a number of reasons more why this could be. So there you might get some more upside here, short term. I can see this actually going up. I can see them pulling back, going up, something like that, and then we'll get a downside. So short term, if you want to buy, you have to buy, get in and get out really fast. Same here. Natural gas. Okay, it didn't drop. It went up a little more. Take this off. We're looking for the drop from this level. It didn't drop, but it still looks downside. It doesn't look upside as yet. Still very corrective. See, this one did stretch a little higher before they came. So look for the sell setup. Your entry would have to come here now. Not here, but this one. So, or if you get a flag earlier for a sell. Break this low, and then we start to look for buy setups. Okay, we didn't, this one went up, drop, so this is going to come down. We assume that this could come back here, retest the low. That's the assumption. Yesterday we discussed it. It could go up. We were looking for this sharp move, and we said this might go up some more. But then you're going to get this, most likely a running flat, and then likely upside. And if you're getting a big running flat like this at the top here, you're likely going to continue to go up. So there's probably one more sell setup here today. Keep your eyes on that. I don't see this being the correction. That alone, standalone, that can be the correction. So running flat is the most likely option. Here's 30. A little more downside. I think we can correct a little more before they go. If you get a sell setup, they could put an entry order here. If it goes up, you wouldn't. You see, you have 1, you have 2, you have 3. That's an expanding flat, right? If they drop, you're in the trade. If they go up, no big deal. You're not in the trade. We're saying that if that is an expanding flat, we want to sell because we know what we're getting, right? If it is not an expanding flat, then you wouldn't be in the trade. You don't have to worry about that. Put the entry order. It's a good entry order to put. That's what I would do, right? S&P 500. This one is a little iffish. You could go with this being a deep correction. We're going up. That's one possibility. The second piece is this is a correction and we're going down. It's still too early to tell. Is it a turning point? And the turning points are a little difficult. Let's see if you get a flag anywhere on this piece going down here, go for the sell. Any flag here would be a sell setup. DAX, look for sell setups. This is already making pullback, so somewhere here you get some corrections. That's a sell setup. Probably an entry order under this low would work good. Let's go. 8200, this is okay. It's kind of making flags here. They'll probably they'll make a move to the top here. And then downside. There's a buy setup that's very short. There's a buy setup, then the downside. Probably let this happen and then go for the sell. That would be a better trade, because if you get a correction as big as this, the downside is going to be sharp. And we could make a very big downside here. See that? There's potential to go. This is a top. So if you get a very big flat like this here, it can drop like this very smart, or it could drop at least to this level and then go back up. But I think because we've got this big one here and we made a top and we're reversing with this, there's a good chance we're going down much deeper. So this is worth paying attention to. Let's see the bigger picture in this. And the bigger picture supports the downside. What is this one? Is this belongs to anything in the past? I don't have it. Is that a, oh, no, sorry. You got, it does belong to something in the past. So this would just probably come here and then go back up, because we already have this as a running flat. Boy, those running flats are popular, right? See? And you've got another one in here. Or this one could be a separate flat of its own, and you've got one here. I think that is how we look at it. This is one of its own. Let me just erase that. This would be the running flat. And this is a flat of its own here. But this one is a perfect one, so we will break the top. The likelihood is this is going to come down here and then go back up, break this top before we come down, or we'll just continue to go. I'll have to see what happens here before I can tell you what it's going to do. But for now, no, it's not going to go down big time. It will just make a big flat and continue to go, right? They will likely come and break this, go back up there, then come break this low and then take off back. This would just be a big flat, not the big move to the downside. Nifty? Okay, if you get a flag buy, it could be a bigger consolidation forming here. But if you get a flag here, buy it back to the top and then see if it breaks out. If it doesn't break out, it'll come back here. See? But it's a buy setup. Every time you come to a low now, you'll start to look for buy setups. Tesla. Okay, it came back to the top. So if you bought from the bottom, if you bought it from the bottom here and it's at the top there, you can take profit, close it. It didn't break out. Could it come back low? I think they can come back here again and then look for the upside. If you're not, then wait for the break of this. That's a good buy. Amazon, it's going up. You've just got a big flat here. I think you've got a big flat there, and then we're heading for the upside. There's a flag forming here for a buy setup. Yeah, that should give you a buy setup there. Where did I get this from? I have no idea. Somebody give me to do it for them, right? So it's kind of like, you can start to look for sells, but they could still do this for a while. It's downside, they're just correcting to the upside. I think right now we're getting a sell setup. Go for it. Here's a sell setup forming here. Go for the sell. Come on. Yep, go for the sell in that one. This, it's not ready, but you're getting a buy setup here. You get a flag here, go for it. That's a buy. And Reliance, it's pulling back. It's just going to make a deep correction here. They'll probably make a deep correction here. And then if you get that, look for the downside. Something like this. And then look for the downside. Okay, let's go. So the cryptocurrencies, I'm not going to do the crypto now because I need to add some more cryptos to it. There's about 6 or 7 more cryptos that people wanted me to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those cryptos and then I'll post a separate crypto webinar later today, right? So let me add, I think there were 4 more we can add to that, and we'll put a separate crypto webinar. So if you guys are trading crypto, we'll deal with them in the trading room. And for the general public in YouTube, we'll put out a separate video on cryptos. So thank you very much, because this is extremely long webinar. I don't want it to be that long, but people can actually skip and go find what they want, right? So if you watch it to the end, thank you very much. If not, just run it to the end, right? If you only need to see some parts of it, you can still let it run to the end. And then please share it. It's going to be on YouTube. Everybody can see it. Please share it. Thank you very much. I'll stop it right here, and then we'll continue this. Take a break, go for breakfast, come back, and then we will do the second part where we can add some more cryptos and do that one. By the way, you guys can check the number of cryptos that it's recommended under the last crypto webinar that I did, and see which ones you guys like, and let me know so we can add those. I'll add about 4 more, and we'll do a webinar, right? Thank you very much for being here. I'll stop the recording and then we go straight in the trading room and we'll see what trade setups we're going to put, and then we'll take a break.